All right, so hello guys, welcome back to another video. My name is David. For those of you who don't know me, I am a designer and researcher here at MIT. And yeah, it's been a long time. I feel like I've always say this, but I'm trying to record more often. This time it's for real. I think I found a good spot, so I'm here at the Media Lab. And I found this nice noise canceling pod, which I've been eyeing for like a week now, and I never see anyone inside. And I'm like, this is gonna be a cool spot to just make those videos. And so it's very cozy. I have my green tea here that I brought from home, and I have my stuff set up. It's very late too. It's like 1 a.m, and my sleep schedule has been like really bad lately. I'm like being a night owl again. But hey, I'm like, why not? Let's just have fun and just make this video. I was like, I need to shoot this video and get some stuff off of my mind, because it's been chaotic inside. A lot has been going on. So for today's video, I will be talking about this concept, this equation that I heard about in a podcast, which is pain plus reflection equals growth. And might not be exactly what it was said in originally, but it comes from Ray Dalio, who, for those of you who don't know, he's a very successful investor with like one of the biggest hedge funds in the US. He wrote the book Principles, which is really, really solid book. I recommend anyone to read it. Just solid life advice and life principles to follow. And I think the equation is really, really relevant. I mean, it was relevant to me when I listened to it, because I was going through like a lot of pain, not physical, but like, I don't know, like spiritual pain. Like I was just like very lost, and I feel like also physical. I was like not sleeping a lot recently, because we had like a bunch of the project we're doing in the Media Lab. Like we had a bunch of deadlines for a paper and the research we're working on. And so, I was like not sleeping right or eating right, and it was just so much stress and chaotic. But we managed to pull through, and it was a good learning experience. I made a bunch of mistakes, a bunch of failures. I cringed at myself for a lot of things I've done, but that's life, right? So I'll dive deep into that quote. I think there's a lot to say about that. So pain plus reflection equals growth. And then maybe sprinkle a bit of updates on my end on what has been happening here. Again, I'm trying to get better at being more consistent with these videos, because I also think like it helps me a lot. I think this has been like my own free therapy for me. I'm just speaking my mind, speaking about my anxieties, about lessons I've learned, about, things that occupy my mind. Because I think the modern struggle today is just, constant overthinking. I think we're overstimulated. We have too much information everywhere. And so we need to find ways to not consume, but produce in a healthy way, not in like a way that necessarily is about like financially or economically trying to produce, or it's just, I'm just trying to like filter my thoughts through these voice journals. So if you resonate, let me know. If you don't, also let me know. I'm kind of curious. But today we will be talking about pain plus reflection equals growth. So let's start with pain. The reason why I love pain as a concept is, when I was young, I used to read a lot on Buddhism, especially like the Tao Te Ching, and a bit of Stoicism as well. That understanding like how pain is just an inherent part of life. A lot of those teachings, they explain how it's inevitable. Pain is a part of life. It's everywhere around us. You walk outside, you see homeless people, you see maybe people spreading hate. Maybe you've been attacked before, like verbally, physically. aggression, maybe this trauma. Like pain is just, we grow up in a place that's imperfect. It's completely normal. We are, we're not perfect beings. We all make mistakes. We have flaws. We have vices. We sin. This is just a part of life. But how you navigate that pain is how you make it through. And I would also argue that pain is not always a bad thing. Pain is where the good lies in. I think doing things that are difficult, that will be painful, will eventually lead to something better. I think there's a saying that's like, the good comes from the hard. And I completely agree with that, because if you were doing easy things all the time, you would be living a comfortable life. Nothing crazy happens. You're not testing your limits. You're not growing. You're not learning. You're plateauing. You're just staying as, you're just doing what you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think, it's like working out. If you want to build muscle or lose weight or tone, or like whatever goals you have, if you want to exercise, you need to build, or you need to break down those muscles, those fibers, in order to regrow them. And it's never easy. Like every time you go to the gym, you have to go through this cycle of pain, this momentary pain. And the key word is momentary, because that whatever difficult thing you're doing is never it never lasts forever. It might seem like it. You might be in a period of your life where it's like, it feels like forever, but trust me, it's just momentary. But you have to go through that in order to go to some place that, is a bit better. But in order to get to that place, you need to be able to reflect on it. And the reflection part is important, because it's where you make the realizations for yourself. And the reality is that sometimes it might not be obvious, or it might never happen, or it might happen very late, because the sad reality, at least in my opinion, is that you have to realize it on your own. And it might sound very, very sad or very solitary, but it is, because it's like you can't teach someone you can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves. That's like a big thing. Like you can't teach someone who doesn't want to be taught. If a person is just always reliving their negative past memories, or is always going back to their negative habits, their addiction, it's very difficult to bring them back, or it's difficult to like make them change paths, because if they don't want to change themselves, whatever you do will not help them. So it has to come from within. And I think that's why reflection is important, because reflection is almost like a way to it's a kind of a habit. I think reflection is not the same thing as like overthinking or constantly thinking. I think reflection is more like you should just do it in like certain moments where it's very intentional. I think intentional reflection is very powerful. It's not about constantly reflecting or reminiscing the past, or it's more about, okay, there's a lot of shit that happened in the past, but now I'm like sitting down, I'm looking back at all this stuff, and then let's be critical about what I've done, or let's be critical about the situation. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What did I wish I would have done? What did I wish I would not have done? And then how can I navigate this in a way where next time, or the next, the future that's coming will be better, or will align with the things I want to do. And again, it comes back to, what do you want to do? Like, what is it that you want to do, or what is it that you want to be? Why do you want to do those things? I think the reflection kind of forces you, or it gets you to, explicitly state it. And it could be through writing, it could be through talking to a friend, to yourself. You can voice journal like how I'm doing. But I think in order to have a clear understanding of like where you want to go, you have to understand who you are and why you want to do this. And it's almost like finding alignment with like, because maybe you think you want something, but it's not really in alignment with your nature. And I think things like personality tests are very important. Things like asking your friends, your parents, like asking them like what they think about you, like being very open and vulnerable and getting feedback and criticism, and asking people like, you know, can you describe me? Like, what do you like about me? What do you don't like about me? How can I improve? Being open to that will just make you grow. And so the reflection is the act, the intentional act of improving yourself by looking at the mistakes, or not even mistakes, but looking at like what you've done in the past and finding out for yourself what you want to repeat and what you don't want to repeat. And a lot of times it's things you don't want to repeat and things you want to kind of delete out of your life. And I think there's a kind of there's a piece that comes from like removing things, you know. I think a lot of times like in life we kind of go through it by stacking things up on, like we're like adding things to do. Okay, what's the next thing? I need to add this thing, add things to the resume, and like you're just stacking skills, stacking, which is normal. You're like gaining. It's you're growing, you're getting more experience. But I think on a one end, it's kind of paradoxical, but you want to, yes, accumulate knowledge, accumulate experiences, relationships, and advice, but you want to refine. It's like you want to listen to everything, but then you want to just select the ones that you believe in and curate and select and refine in a way where it's lean, because there's just too much advice you can listen to. There's just too much stuff you can grab onto and keep with you. You want to stay lean. You want to make your own decisions. You want to make your own judgment, your own beliefs, your own values. It doesn't need to be complicated. It could be very simple. But because you have your own personality, your own life experiences, your own beliefs, only you can know what works the best for you and what you want out of life. And I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to learn what I want to do, what I want to be, what I believe in, you know, what's the best career for me, what's the best relationships for me, what's the best relationship with myself, where I want to live, like all of this stuff, you know. But you need to go through life, and then it's almost like checking in, like going through those checkpoints through life and being like, okay, well, I've tried this thing, and then I thought before going into that thing that I would have liked that, but then after going through it, I'm like, I actually don't like that. I actually like this. But having that realization is so beneficial, because then you can just take it on and like you kind of keep it for you, and then you go through life, and then you keep going through that cycle until you get to a point, maybe, I don't know if it'll happen, but where you're kind of everything, you know yourself so well that you are able to say no to things. You're able to just say, oh, this is not for me, this is not for me, this is not for me. And I think right now I'm in a phase where like I don't really know how to say no to things, because I'm still in this mindset of like, let's just keep getting experience and try new things. But I know for a fact that it's not sustainable. You can't always add and add and add and add and add. At some point you want to refine and be very clear with and being authentic with who you are. And so practices like meditation, practices like just talking to a friend, or journaling, going for walks, long walks alone, you're thinking to yourself, where you're in nature, where you can connect because when you're in nature, you're not technically alone. You're connected to the earth. You're connected to other living beings. So for me, it's not. It's actually a really good thing to be in nature and to just walk and get answers in that way. But you really want to take that time to, like reflect and have those moments of solid, like just being on your own and just understanding like where you're at, where you want to go. And the reason you do this is because you want to grow. You want to grow in a positive way. You want to bring love to others. You want to be the best version of yourself. All of this I'm saying is like, I'm not saying this because like, how can you optimize your productivity because to be more efficient at work or to be a better founder or to be a better CEO, whatever. Like, I'm saying this just because like, this is basically the life of a human being. Is you go through obstacles, you go through hard stuff, you learn to deal with it, you learn what's best for you, you form your own plan, you form your own strategy, and then you apply it, you see what works, what fails, reiterate, and then you keep going. And then it's a constant like improvisation. You're constantly trying to see like what makes the most sense, what doesn't make more sense, but it's in the moment. It's like you're living in the moment and you're adapting and there's no preparation for it, I think. And I'm not going to speak too much about it, but that's probably one of the things I have the hardest time with academia is like this notion of theory. I don't really... Theory is interesting. Like, you can learn so many different things in the classroom and the theory and what should work and what theoretically should work. But until you actually apply it to like the real world or with real people on real projects, real deadlines, real relationships, there's like real stakes on the line. There's money on the line. There's like, stakeholders, all that stuff. The theory will not hold. You will constantly have to seek out new theory, form your own new theories, or adapt it and change it in a way where it will work. It's kind of it's a messy thing. You're hacking, you're kind of putting things together. It's never perfect because the way they teach you theory, it's like, here's a problem to solve with an answer at the end, and then that's it. It's like especially engineering, like at MIT, like every problem set we have, it's like they make it seem like a problem is like a very finite, like, okay, here's the answer, here's the process, the equations. But then you work on any project and it's like, no, it's like you're working with people. You're working with like, you have to communicate. You have to you have to convince people. You have to influence them. You have to adapt, design, completely change the whole framework. And it's messy. There's a structure. There's deadlines. It's not that clear. You can always kind of find your own path and your own way of working. And so I have a hard time with academia in the way where it's trying to standardize a lot of things, or it's trying to standardize students, and to think in the same way. But the reality is that like we all think differently. The value comes from all our differences. Our genetic code is all different. Our strengths, our weaknesses, what we see, what people don't see, like that's our advantage. We should be collaborating together and working on a similar challenge together instead of like teaching everyone the same thing and expecting them to be the same way. That's why I really like self-education. I think if you follow your curiosities, if you follow what you're interested in, if you double down on your strengths and you try to apply it to something that you believe in, that already you're in the right track. I think you're kind of set up to be in a fulfilling environment with people who you respect. And I'm not saying this is going to be easy. Like, it's not because I'm here at MIT that like I feel no anxiety about the future. I feel like I've made it. On the contrary, I've met so many incredible people here that like are anxious, that are scared about the future, that are having trouble finding jobs. Like, can you imagine like going to Harvard and you're like struggling to find a job? Like, that's insane. But the reality is like, you give yourself goals, you achieve it, but then all the same issues you've had, the same pain, you still have to play the game, and you still have to every day like confront it and go over it and try your best to stay optimistic and go through life and do the best you can. So, not trying to say this to be like all doom and gloom and be negative. I'm just saying this because life is not easy, and I think we need to have more open communication about that. I think we need safe space where people can just, speak their mind about it. I'm here to just remind you that like, hey, you're not alone. Even people here at MIT, Harvard, we're still struggling. Don't think that we're like superior than you and like we have everything figured out and we know like because we're studying technology, we know what's gonna happen for the future. Like, nobody knows. Like, even especially now with AI, like we're trying different things, we're experimenting, we're prototyping like weird things, but we don't know. We still have the same doubts about AI and what's gonna happen. And so, but if there's one thing I want to get out of it, and I try to keep these videos optimistic, because I think we need more optimism in the world, more dreamers, more like, what if we did that? And I think reflection, I think we need more of that, internal reflection, open-mindedness in general, especially in the US. There's a lot of divide politically, especially what happened with like Charlie Kirk and all that stuff. I've been seeing like a lot of, videos online about his stuff and commentaries, and it's never a good thing to like anything that's against free speech. I'm super against. I think America was built on free speech, and so that's why it's the perfect place for freedom and for entrepreneurship and for crazy ideas and for innovation. But reflection, I think everyone, there's always room to just look back at what you've done and to kind of try to like, how can you make it better? What can I keep? What can I not keep? Because I think you don't want to live in a life of resentment where you're doing something because you feel like you need to do it, or you feel like I'm doing it for someone. Like, one thing I'm trying to get out of these videos, I think, is trying to instill the sense of confidence, not of arrogance, but of confidence in yourself, in your creative abilities, in your own perspectives, your dreams, your ideas. Like, I think every one of us has something to share. Everyone has like something of value that's different from others and unique and different perspectives. And I think if we're able to kind of let go of this doubt that like, oh, we need to do things a certain way, I think it will give you more confidence to be like, hey, let's take that risk. You know what? Like, I'm not saying this like, don't follow rules, but you don't always have to follow the rules. There's like some rules, like, okay, the Constitution, the law, don't break those rules, don't go to prison, don't go to jail. But when it comes to like societal rules, I think you can, do your own thing. Like, and it doesn't need to be alone. You can be like a group of friends and just get along together, do cool stuff. Depends on your nature. If you like working alone, work alone. If you like working in teams, work in teams. But it's never been the perfect time to do it, because You got technology, you got AI, you got the internet. You can learn anything you want instantly. You can find research papers. Like, look up Google Scholar and then just type in whatever crazy subject you want. You will find all of the top peer-reviewed journals and papers from MIT, Harvard, Stanford, like everything. And you will be able to read what the top researchers are producing for free. Like, I mean, maybe you need access to, maybe you do need access to like a account, but you could find a way to get it for free, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm just saying this because I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to share this. I mean, I think a bit of myself is that, like, again, I don't like following rules. I think I did a personality test today for a class. I'm taking this class called Leading Creative Teams. And they made us do a personality test based on the Big Five, which is one I talked about before in other videos. But the last time I did that test was like 5 years ago. And I did the test again, like the long version, which was like 300 questions. And I looked through the answer, like through the results, and I was like, man, like I kind of agree with a lot of things. There's a lot of things I'm like, I don't think it kind of hurts a bit because you have to accept the truth and be like, okay, maybe I'm not the most sympathetic in that sense, but like, there's some things where like you kind of have to be critical a bit or accept, depending if it's true or not. That's why it's always good to have someone else look at your results of a personality test and like tell you like if they agree or not. Someone who knows you well. But yeah, like doing that personality test made me realize that like, okay, there's like knowing yourself is so important. Like, I think if you're able to understand yourself and to accept it, then whatever decisions you make will be clearer, and it'll make it easier for you to make a decision because you'll be like, okay, well, this aligns with my beliefs, my morality, what I believe in, my strengths, my weaknesses, what I believe I am good at and what I should be doing. And you're not lying to yourself by doing something that doesn't align with what you want to do. So I don't know. For me, one thing that came out of the personality test is like, I love the sense of adventure. I love trying new things and the thrill of like trying something different and being creative, just doing things that don't make sense because I think it might be fun. And so that's why I'm making these videos, because it's in my nature. And I don't know until when I'll be doing these videos, but for now it seems some people enjoy it. I don't regret it for now, but it's interesting. I don't know. So I suggest anyone to just do those personality tests. I can maybe link it in the description. The one I did specifically, it's free. And there's a short version and there's a long version. But yeah, I think it's a really good thing to do just in general. And then also throughout your life, because you change your views on your personality. Like, things might change throughout life. So yeah, I think it's important. But anyways, that's all I had to say, honestly, for today. I talked about pain. I talked about reflection, growth, just being better than yourself the day you were before. And yeah, I think, you can expect a lot of videos around self-development, that kind of stuff, creativity, spirituality, and that kind of stuff. I think we need more of that, just motivation to just keep going. And like, life is tough. Life is not easy. Like there's so many moments where I think for me it's the doubt. I think for me it's like not knowing. It's the not knowing, like what's in store for the future, what I should be doing. Like, I think especially like if you're like a Gen Z or like if you're like younger, there's like, there's so much out there. There's so much opportunities, but then you have limited time. And so like the decision you have to take of like, okay, should I work for this company? Should I work for a startup? Should I build my own startup? Should I become a content creator? Should I go to university? Should I not go to university? Should I invest? Should I not? Like, there's so many things that like people tell you to like do or not do, or like there's a risk involved. And when you're young, you have less risk. And so it's a lot. And maybe I just overthink, but like that's the stuff that keeps going in my head all the time. And I don't know the answers to it, but I think at least talking about it makes it better. My way of coping. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is stuff that I keep thinking about. And I think also because like I'm in a privileged position where that I was dreaming about before coming to MIT, where, I'm working at the two labs I dreamed of working at, which is the Media Lab and the Sensible City Lab. Both of the labs I'm working on projects that might end up becoming startups. They're like early research and development stage now, but there's this energy or this. The teams are very entrepreneurial, and so they got me on board because they needed a designer to maybe turn it into a startup, but then it's taking a lot of energy out of myself, and like I also have classes to take, and so there's like all these commitments, and it's like a lot of energy spent on these two things, or on like all of these things. And then I didn't expect like the channel on the podcast to do so well, and like a lot of you guys love the videos, and so I'm like, I feel like that could also be something that's worth pursuing. And it's all a matter of time and how you spend your time. And so for those of you guys who like have a lot of free time, I envy you because it sounds like like I'm blessed. I'm super blessed. But I'm just saying that there are things, like everything comes at a cost. And you might look up to people who are in positions that are like they're working really hard on cool projects. They're, living a life you dream of living, but maybe they're like super stressed out. They're like, they're financially not the most stable. They're working on cool projects, but maybe they also have issues. They also have their own doubts, insecurities, and anxieties and stress. And maybe they wish that they had like more time and more free time, and maybe they were younger and have more energy. So it's all like a comparison. It's like when you get older, you wish you had more free time, but you have money. When you're younger, you wish you had money, but you have so much free time. So it's always like the grass is greener on the other side kind of thing. And so my biggest advice is just do what you want to do. Just know yourself, follow your strengths, do something you enjoy doing so it doesn't feel like work, so it feels like something fulfilling. You're working with incredible people that you respect and you admire, and you're working on something you believe in. And if you can't achieve it, try to find a way to position yourself in a way where you can do that. So, yeah, that's it for me today. I think I'll stop yapping. It's getting late. But, hopefully it helped. If not, it's okay. But yeah, that's it for me for today. I hope you have a good day. Take care and peace.